A memory, a quiet suburban neighborhood many years ago. A pair of familiar figures walk up the steps of a family home. Charles Xavier and Eric Lensher, two men who would later become Professor X and Magneto, have not yet become enemies. At this time, they are allies, united by their mission to find and guide young mutants. They are here for a girl named Jean Grey. The front door opens, and Jean's parents welcome them nervously. But inside the living room, a strange energy vibrates in the air. The furniture trembles, the cars outside lift slightly from the ground, and an overwhelming force radiates from the young girl sitting silently in her chair. Jean is powerful, too powerful. Charles calms her with his words, guiding her through her fear, showing her that she is not alone. Eric watches with fascination, already seeing the untapped potential of a child who could one day rival the gods. That day marks the beginning of a bond between Jean and Charles, but also a warning. Some powers, once awakened, can never be fully contained. The scene shifts to a different time, a more recent past. Warren Worthington III is just a boy, hidden away in his father's bathroom. He cries in shame as he desperately cuts at his back with sharp tools. Feathers scatter across the floor. Streaks of blood stain the sink. His father, desperate and horrified, discovers the truth. His son is a mutant, sprouting angelic wings. The boy hides his face in shame, but this moment will set in motion one of the film's central conflicts: humanity's attempt to cure what they do not understand. In the present day, the world has changed. Mutants have become more visible, more vocal, and more threatening to those who fear them. And now, a pharmaceutical company known as Worthington Labs makes a shocking announcement. They claim to have developed a cure for mutation, an injection that can permanently suppress the mutant gene, stripping away powers, returning mutants to what society calls normal. For some, it's a miracle. For others, it's an insult. The news divides the mutant community. Some mutants see the cure as hope, a chance to live free from fear, to blend in, to no longer be outcasts. Others see it as a betrayal, an attack on their very identity. To be a mutant is not a disease, they argue. It is who they are. And in the shadows, Eric Lensher, Magneto, rises again. He sees the cure not as hope, but as a weapon. He warns that if humans can erase mutation, then mutants will never be safe. His brotherhood begins to gather strength, made up of mutants who are tired of hiding, tired of compromise. Beside him is Mystique, ever loyal, along with new allies like Juggernaut and the feral Psylocke. Magneto speaks of war, and his words find eager ears. Meanwhile, at the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, life continues under Charles's watchful eye. The X-Men train relentlessly in the Danger Room, a vast simulation chamber that throws them into apocalyptic scenarios. Logan, Wolverine, leads Storm, Colossus, and the fiery young mutant named Kitty Pryde in a mock battle against robotic sentinels. Explosions thunder, metal crashes, ice and fire collide. It's a reminder that though they fight simulations, the real world outside is far more dangerous. Scott Summers, known as Cyclops, is not present. He has grown distant, haunted by grief. After the battle against Stryker and the Weapon X program, Jean Grey sacrificed herself to save her friends, holding back the floodwaters of Alkali Lake with her telekinesis. Her death weighs heavily on Scott. He cannot move on, cannot sleep, cannot accept a world without her. Logan notices Scott's pain, but can do little to reach him. And then, the impossible happens. One day, Scott returns to Alkali Lake, drawn back to the place where he lost Jean. The air is thick with memory. He screams her name into the empty sky, his grief shattering into raw energy. His optic blasts fire uncontrollably into the lake, and the water begins to churn. The surface breaks apart, light pierces through, and suddenly, Jean emerges, alive, standing before him, her eyes glowing with unimaginable power. Scott is overwhelmed, confused, desperate. He embraces her, but something is wrong. Jean is not the same. Her voice trembles with desire and rage, a storm barely contained. She kisses him passionately, but the moment turns violent as her power flares, throwing objects across the room. She pulls away, whispering that Charles lied to her, that he controlled her, that she is free now. And then, in a flash, she is gone. Jean flees to her childhood home, the house where she first met Charles and Eric. The X-Men race to reach her, but Magneto is already there. In the quiet of her old living room, Jean sits trembling as two voices battle for her soul. Charles urging her to resist the darkness, Eric urging her to embrace it. Eric whispers promises of freedom, of never hiding again, of becoming the goddess she was meant to be. Charles warns of destruction, of losing herself, of hurting those she loves. The tension shatters into violence. Jean's power erupts, lifting the house into the air, shattering walls, splitting the earth. Charles pleads with her, his voice echoing in her mind. Magneto watches with awe as the raw Phoenix Force bursts free. And then, in one horrifying moment, Jean turns her fury on Charles. His body disintegrates before their eyes, atomized in a storm of psychic fire. Storm screams. Logan falls to his knees. Magneto smiles with grim satisfaction. Charles Xavier, the heart of the X-Men, is gone. Charles Xavier is gone. His death sends shockwaves not just through the mansion, but through the entire mutant world. The X-Men mourn their leader, their father, their guide. Storm struggles to keep the school together, to reassure the frightened students. Logan retreats into silence, grief mixing with guilt. He couldn't save Jean, and the woman he loved is now something far beyond his reach. Meanwhile, Magneto seizes the moment. With Charles out of the way, he becomes the only voice Jean listens to, though even he cannot control her. The Brotherhood grows stronger as more mutants flock to his side. Magneto paints a vision of the future. Humans with the cure in their hands, stripping mutants of their powers, reducing them to nothing. He declares it war. In secret, Magneto frees Mystique from government custody, but in the chaos of the rescue, something shocking happens. Mystique, loyal to Magneto for years, takes a cure dart to the chest. Her blue skin fades, her body transforms. She becomes human, helpless. Magneto watches with no pity. With cold detachment, he turns away. She was one of us, he says. Now, she's one of them. Mystique's loyalty dies that day, replaced with bitterness. Back at the mansion, the cure continues to divide the mutants. Rogue, tired of living in isolation, longs for the chance to touch without hurting, to kiss without fear. She listens to whispers of the cure with hope in her eyes. But Bobby, her boyfriend, doesn't understand. His closeness with Kitty only makes Rogue feel more alone. Elsewhere, Warren Worthington III, now grown, struggles with his father's obsession. Warren Worthington II has invested everything into the cure, determined to rid his son of the wings he sees as a curse. But Warren sees them as part of who he is. In a moment of desperation, he refuses the injection, spreading his great white wings, defying his father. He becomes Angel. While personal battles unfold, Magneto makes his move. In a display of unimaginable power, he uses his magnetism to rip the Golden Gate Bridge from its foundations. Steel groans, concrete shatters, and the colossal bridge tears free, carried through the night sky like a titan's weapon. Cars tumble, lights flicker, terrified civilians cling to the railings. Magneto slams the bridge down against Alcatraz Island, creating a path for his army. Alcatraz, home to Worthington Labs, has been fortified with soldiers armed with cure darts. The government plans to defend the cure at all costs. But Magneto sees it as the perfect battlefield. His Brotherhood surges across the bridge, dozens of mutants, ready to fight, to kill, to claim victory for their kind. The X-Men, though fractured, rise once more. Storm, Logan, Colossus, Kitty, and Iceman stand ready. Though they are outnumbered, they are determined. They are not just fighting for themselves, but for the dream Charles died protecting. The battle erupts in chaos. Juggernaut charges through walls, unstoppable in his brute force. Kitty Pryde darts through obstacles, using her phasing powers to save young mutants from harm. Bobby confronts Pyro, his former friend now consumed by fire and rage. Their clash of flame and ice explodes into the night sky. Two young men who once trained side by side